Iran's army is huge. So why doesn't it get much attention? Much like China's army in the 1980s, the Iranian army and other ground forces are large but poorly armed. One of the most powerful and influential countries in the Middle East is undoubtedly Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran sits astride several key strategic, and often volatile, regions, including the Persian Gulf, Central Asia, the Indian Ocean and the Caucasus. Iran is primarily a land power, and has invaded and suffered invasion from other peoples and countries over the past several thousand years. As a result, Iran retains large ground forces, both in the Iranian army itself and the paramilitary Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The commander-in-chief of the Iranian armed forces is the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Like many states, there are two armies: the Iranian army, loyal to the country itself, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its besieged militia, which is loyal to the regime and the spirit of the revolution. Unlike most states with two armies, the Iranian army and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps suffer from less role and capability duplication, in large extent due to the Iranian Revolution. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 deposed the monarchy under the Shah and imposed a theocratic revolutionary state. The new rulers of Iran, skeptical of long-standing institutions historically loyal to the Shah, allowed the army to survive as an organization but developed the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps as a counterweight. While the army would guard the country's borders and defend against external threats, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps would guard the regime itself. As a result, the army was arrayed generally towards Iran's primary enemies at the time, Iraq, Israel and Saudi Arabia, and placed mostly near the Iranian border. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, on the other hand, maintained significant garrisons in Iran's major cities and towns. In 2013, the Center for Strategic and International Studies assessed the Islamic Iranian ground forces as consisting of 350,000 active duty troops, including 130,000 professionals and 220,000 draftees. These troops are organized into 4 armored divisions, 2 mechanized infantry divisions, 4 light infantry divisions, 6 artillery groups, 2 special forces, commando divisions, an airborne brigade, 3 to 4 commando brigades, an unknown number of aviation units, and other separate armored and infantry brigades. The ground forces have a number of armored vehicles at their disposal, including 1,663 main battle tanks, 725 reconnaissance and infantry fighting vehicles, 640 armored personnel carriers, 2,322 towed and self-propelled howitzers, and 1,476 multiple rocket launchers. While the sheer amount of equipment sounds impressive, and many pieces, such as the United Kingdom's Chieftain tank, American Sea Cobra attack helicopter and M113 armored personnel carrier, were first-rate weapons for their time, much of it is very dated by today's standards. This equipment has been supplemented by Russian equipment purchased during the 1990s to rearm the battle-worn ground forces. In general, however, the ground forces remain chronically under-equipped, crippled by sanctions and a lack of domestic military technology. Western sanctions and arms embargoes directed against Iran created a vacuum that the country's nascent arms industry struggled to fill. Today Iran has an enthusiastic, if not quite cutting-edge military-industrial complex. It manufactures a slew of small arms and support weapons for the infantry and offers domestic copies of vehicles such as the BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicle and T-72 main battle tank. Not all of its stated achievements pan out, however. Iran claims to have designed and built the Karar, Striker, main battle tank in just 1 year, which it says is in some ways superior to the Russian T-90MS it had been attempting to purchase. This is almost certainly untrue. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in equal service alongside the ground forces, maintains land forces of its own. The 100,000-strong ground forces of the Army of the Guardians of the Islamic Revolution protects the theocratic regime, and as such is more lightly armed than the regular Iranian army. The Basij paramilitary militia is a lightly armed force also meant to protect the revolution and regime. The Basij infamously acted as poorly trained cannon fodder in the Iran-Iraq War, sending young boys and old men against prepared Iraqi defenses. Today, it is described as a combination of political party and military organization, of 4 to 5 million that keeps tabs on dissenters and guards the regime. The most important part of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and possibly all of the Iranian armed forces, is the Quds Force. Consisting of 15 to 30,000 of the best Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps troops, the Quds Force provides Tehran's regime with an unconventional warfare capability, broadly similar to the CIA and United States Special Forces circa 1967. The Quds Force typically operates alongside non-state actors such as Hezbollah, providing training, weapons and support. Analysts believe that the Quds Force armed elements of the Iraqi insurgency with IEDs built around explosively forged penetrators, allowing them to penetrate armored vehicles. According to retired United States Army General Stanley McChrystal, "We knew where all the factories were in Iran." The EFPs killed hundreds of Americans. Much like China's army in the 1980s, the Iranian army and other ground forces are large but poorly armed. Iran's sheer size, both in geography and population, are a deterrent to invasion. With Iraq struggling for its own survival, Tehran's ground forces generally exist to secure the borders and keep the existing system of government in place. That being said, like the People's Liberation Army, an injection of funding, and purpose, could turn Iran into the dominant land power in the Middle East. United States Navy aircraft carrier USS Reagan enters South China Sea. The ship was accompanied by the guided missile cruiser USS Shiloh and the guided missile destroyer USS Halsey in a routine mission. A United States aircraft carrier group led by the USS Ronald Reagan has entered the South China Sea as part of a routine mission, the United States Navy said, at a time of rising tensions between Washington and Beijing, which claims most of the disputed waterway. The carrier is being accompanied by the guided missile cruiser USS Shiloh and the guided missile destroyer USS Halsey, the United States Navy said on Tuesday. China frequently objects to United States military missions in the South China Sea, saying they do not help promote peace or stability, and the latest mission comes after China condemned the Group of 7 nations for a statement criticizing Beijing over a range of issues. While in the South China Sea, the strike group is conducting maritime security operations, which include flight operations with fixed and rotary wing aircraft, maritime strike exercises, and coordinated tactical training between surface and air units, the United States Navy said. Carrier operations in the South China Sea are part of the United States Navy's routine presence in the Indo-Pacific. China has ramped up its military presence in the South China Sea in recent years, including building artificial islands and air bases, where it has installed missile systems and other equipment. The South China Sea has become one of many flashpoints in the testy relationship between China and the United States, with Washington rejecting what it calls unlawful territorial claims by Beijing in the resource-rich waters, which are also claimed by Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam, Brunei and Malaysia. In a show of force against the Chinese claims, United States warships have passed through the South China Sea with increasing frequency in recent years, invoking freedom of navigation rights. In a related development, the Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs Teodoro Locsin has said the country will extend a key military pact with the United States, after months of negotiations between the two countries. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte had threatened in February last year to axe the Visiting Forces Agreement, after Washington canceled the visa of a close ally who led his internationally condemned war on drugs. Duterte, who has cultivated closer ties with China, later reversed his decision, which analysts said could have further weakened decades of close military cooperation between Manila and Washington, D.C. It is the third time Duterte has extended the deal, which provides the legal framework for joint military exercises with the United States. The president conveyed to us his decision to extend the suspension of the abrogation of the Visiting Forces Agreement by another 6 months while he studies, and both sides further address his concerns regarding particular aspects of the agreement, Locsin said. A Foreign Affairs spokeswoman said the department was waiting for details from Duterte's office on the specific areas of concern. Duterte's decision also comes as China steps up incursions into Philippine waters, angering many Filipinos. The Philippines and the United